Just because it's 80s doesn't mean it's cheesy. Hi everybody, it's Amanda here, your Cutie of Carnage here for another video. Today is officially January 31st, which means it's the end of January, which means it's officially the end of our 80s horror month on Channel Sundown. Yes, I know, how devastating. But today, as I film this video, it's still technically January 31st. By the time you guys watch this video, it's going to be February 1st. But being it's still January, I'm going to go ahead and do another 80s film. Just for you guys. Okay, you guys might notice that I sound a little weird today, and that is because I'm coming down with a cold. I know, it's awful. But I drugged myself out of bed to come and film this video for you guys. So, it's because I love you. I love you so much. So, let's go ahead and start this video. Today's topic is going to be my top 5 80s films that I think should be remade. Now, the reason I'm only doing 5 is because I'm not really a big fan of remakes. There's a lot of films that I think are great just the way they are, but we live in a time where films are going to be remade. It is what it is. Remakes are bad. There's some good ones out there. I mean, there's a lot of ones that aren't perfect, but are still a good time. And then there's some that are just awful. I don't want to talk about it. The top 5 80s horror films that I think should be remade. And how it should be remade. And if the story should change or stay the same. My opinions, my thoughts. If you guys don't agree, I'm sorry. Put your list on the bottom. But this is what I feel and I think. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. My number 5 is going to be an 80s horror film that was on my list of top must-see 80s horror films. 1988's Black Roses. Now, this film was just pure 80s. Okay? It's about this hard-rocking band that goes to this town, corrupts their youth, and it's like just, it's kind of like Footloose with demons, and just they fight. They're like, oh no, you're the devil, you're not allowed to town. And then finally they chill out, and then they corrupt the children, and it's just creatures and groupies who turn into otherworldly beings that look like giraffes on crack. Like, it's insane. So, I think, being that it's kind of an 80s film, how about it's remade in the current culture? But other than having it kind of like an 80s hair band back in the 80s, if they kind of change it into like a boy band, I think that would be hilarious. Like a demon boy band. So I think it would be fantastic. You would have just like the cutest guys, because now, back in the 80s, it was hair metal. That was like the big thing. And nowadays, it's like boy bands, pop stars. So I thought it'd be really cool if they interpreted it to current culture and kind of like boy bands who corrupt the youth and turn everybody into just a bunch of bunny humping juveniles, and they turn into demons. Like, it just sounds like a good idea, I think. So, yeah. And I think the director who should direct it is actually one of my favorite. He's really weird. Darren Lynn Bosman, I think, should direct it. You guys might remember him. He directed this, some Saws. He directed Devil's Carnival, Mother. He directed Repo the Genetic Opera. He has a way of looking at things, and I just think he would have a great cartoony way of, like, if you've seen Devil's Carnival, you see it there. Like, he has a very cartoony kind of way of showing, you know, cute guys who are underneath very demonic. And if you guys have seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about in Devil's Carnival, that when trickster who was beautiful but had the devilish undertone. So yeah, that would be my pick for number 5, would be Black Roses remade into a boy band contemporary kind of thing. Or they can go the other route and make a hipster band. Like, kind of get, like, yeah, get somebody like, maybe like Franz Ferdinand, or, you know, like, or the Killers, and get them and kind of have like an undertone there. So I think that would be a good idea. So Black Roses would be my pick for number 5. 80s horror film that should be remade. So let's go ahead and go to my number 4. My number 4 is going to be 1980s Motel Hell, starring Rory Calhoun. Yes, I picked Motel Hell as my number 4 because the movie takes place in this rural country town, and this man is famous for his jerky and his beef and everything, and I thought it was so campy and so great. I love the original one, and although I would not want it to be remade, if it was to be remade, I think it'd be fantastic. Unfortunately, the director I had in mind, I don't know, would be up for it, but I would love to see a John Waters rendition of Motel Hell. I think that would be fantastic. It would be just so much fun because you already watched the film and you feel kind of like a lot of John Waters in it. Because I actually heard about the film because I was watching one of his interviews and he actually talks about Motel Hell, and that kind of influenced me into that movie. So, although, you know, I did kind of heard about it, but he's a big fan of Motel Hell, so he talks about it a lot when he talks about his favorite horror films and stuff like that. So I think just modernize with, you know, social media, with just millennials, because you could just picture it, like, imagine a bunch of, like, hipster millennials showing up, being like, oh, this is so cute, this is so vintage, I love this place, and then, you know, they end up getting, you know, put into the farm, you know? They end up being jerky. So, yeah, I thought that would be really fun, and John Waters just has a way of just playing the camp up, because John Waters has a lot of fans in the industry, and I think if he got the script and he decided to make a movie, he would have a lot of actors who've started in his films. You know, Johnny Depp has started in his films, you know, a lot of people have, you know, before they got famous were in John Waters' films. So I think if he decided to do a horror remake of Motel Hell, he could get a lot of people by his side. So I think that's a fantastic idea, and I hope one day maybe he'll make in a hotel, not even a Motel Hell, but just like, you know, any other kind of horror film, just other than Serial Mom. I loved Serial Mom, so I just think he'd be fantastic if he was to do a remake of Motel Hell. Anyways, let's go ahead and go to my next one. Alright guys, my number 3 is going to be 1981's The Pit. This also is on my countdown of top 80s films that I think everybody should see. The Pit I saw, actually no, I take that back. It was on my Creature Feature countdown. The Pit was something that scared me until recently. I rewatched it and realized, wow, you know, at the time it was scary, but the story could be really creepy if remade. It's basically about this boy who doesn't have a lot of friends. He gets made fun of, and he has a teddy bear, and he finds this pit with these unworldly creatures come back from the past prehistoric era who live in this hole, this pit, who feed on flesh. And it's kind of reminiscent of, if you guys remember that Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, that movie from the, I believe it was the 70s, that was remade to that Guillermo del Toro's movie, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, with Katie Holmes and Guy Pearce. But it's kind of like that. And I think if Guillermo del Toro was to make this film, it would be fantastic. But after making that decision, I started really thinking about the campiness in the film and just the pure wackiness of it. Because the kids in this film, they do kill children in this film. Unfortunately, well, I mean, they do it tastefully because the kids are brats in this movie. But it's a very elaborate kind of, you know, neighborhood of children who are just downright mean. So I thought about it and I was like, what would be more perfect than Tim Burton to make this film? Because you think about it, like the colors versus the darkness, and the kids who are just awful, making fun of this child who's just, you know, just he's absent. It reminds me of that short that he did, Young Vincent, I believe it's called. I could be incorrect. I'll have to watch it after this and fact check myself, but I believe it's called Young Vincent. It was a short that he made, a cartoon about a young boy who wanted to be Vincent Price. but it's a very cute story. It's a very cute short. And when I think of The Pit, I think of that. So I think it would be really interesting. Um, Although I think the child should be somebody unknown. A lot of people tend to think of a lot of the kids from Stranger Things. I think you should go more the route of somebody unknown, child unknown, you know. Unfortunately, with that, you know, it's really hard to find talented kids who haven't already been snatched up yet. So, anywho, yeah, that is my pick for my number 3, The Pit remake done by Tim Burton. So, anyways, guys, I'm sorry I'm running through this list so quick, but I feel like crap. I feel sick. And I'm toughing through this. So you guys just bear with me, please. Okay, guys. Here it is. Here's my number 2 movie that I think should be remade. Now, this choice is pretty controversial. So, guys, just hear me out. Hear me out before I get tomatoes thrown at me in the comments, okay? My number 2 movie that I feel should be remade is 1987's Lost Boys. Yes. A lot of people get upset when I say this, but hear me out. Hear me out now. Okay. I believe this film should be remade, although I believe it shouldn't be the same story retold. I am very interested in that whole just town and that facts about vampires and the histories of those vampires. I thought it'd be a really good idea to revisit, but have it be a different group of kids. Okay? Like, for example, it being a bunch of girls, a group of girls who are vampires. So, other than it being, you know, just a rehashing, kind of like the last sequels, like The Tribe and that other crap, whatever they came out with, I don't know. But just like a retelling of a group of girls, kind of like, you know, The Craft meets, you know, like I said, Lost Boys, kind of like have that female kind of look to it. And I think it should be directed by Catherine Bigelow. You guys might remember her. She was Detroit. She did Zero Dark 30. She did Near Dark. I mean, a lot of people know she's a great director. And Near Dark was one of my favorite horror films, vampire films. And I think if she takes a little bit of that magic that she got in Near Dark and put that into a Lost Boys sequel or remake or rehashing, what have you, I think that would be awesome. So, Lost Boys is going to be my pick for number 2. So, everybody go ahead, throw tomatoes at me. It's cool. It's whatever. I just think it'd be awesome to see a female rendition of the Lost Boys. Like, just have a girl rendition of the Lost Boys, you know, done by Catherine Bigelow. I think would be amazing. So, anyways, guys, that's my pick for number 2. Now, let's go ahead to my number 1. Alright, guys, before I go to number 1, I did have one that I did want to put on this list, but unfortunately, I just couldn't find a spot for it. My honorable mentions could be 1985's Silver Bullet. I remember watching that movie, and although I wasn't really a fan of it, I keep finding myself going back to it. I don't know why. It was one of those movies that it wasn't scary, so I kind of told my friends, like, before I could, like, really watch scary movies, I'm like, yeah. They're like, you watch scary movies? I was like, yeah, I watched Silver Bullet. That's so scary. You know, just trying to keep my credit, because my parents really didn't let me watch horror films when I was a kid, but they let me watch that one. They let me watch that and Death Becomes Her. So I thought I was badass, because I was like, yeah, I totally watch horror films. I've seen Silver Bullet, Death Becomes Her. Yeah, I'm so cool. Anyways, that was a time in my life. I was different. But yeah, that movie with Gary Busey, Corey Haim, and that bike that was a wheelchair / bike kind of deal. Gary Busey was just fucking weird. The priest, when he turns, like, it just, the effects were great until you actually saw, you know, the creature, and you're just like, wait a minute, that's not. It was scary when they were turning, and the church scene. Oh, that part gave me the creeps. But yeah, I would love to see Silver Bullet redone. So, anyways, yeah, that's my honorable mention. So let's go ahead and go to my number one. All right, guys, here it is. My number one choice for 80s film that I would love to see remade is going to be 1982's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I think that movie is so wrongly hated. Mind you, when I first saw it, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it because you have to understand, I was under the impression that I was gonna see Michael Myers. So I was very disappointed in the film, where I spent the whole movie waiting for Michael Myers, that I really didn't appreciate the film. And so I thought it was dumb. After later watching it again, I think it's a very, very interesting movie. Although it is kind of dated, and it's not a perfect film by no means, but it is so interesting. And it's about this man, this older man, who has this. It takes place in Halloween time, which everybody knows beforehand. Before they planned on making Halloween kind of an anthology series, they were going to have each movie be something different. And of course, because this movie didn't do as well, they decided to go back to the format of Mike Myers number 4. But in the movie, they show trailers for the movie Halloween. So it's not taking place in the same universe. It's kind of a back and forth kind of deal. But this older man, he has a mask making company, and it's just, there's this town, there's these kids, he sells masks, he gives them out for free to children, and there's this woman whose father is missing, and there's this doctor who's trying to figure stuff out, and it's just so, and it's an old movie, so I could possibly spoil it, but I really think people should watch it, and I would really love to see it remade without the Halloween kind of S to it, and the ending is very disturbing. The ending just floors you. It's just so, they don't shy away from killing kids. They don't. It's a very, very, it's a very disturbing film. These kids, these poor kids, you see it, and it's just awful. Anyways, but yeah, it's very haunting. It's very disturbing, and it's very entertaining. Although, like I said, the effects are dated. You know, you have a lot of other stuff. You know, the villain's awesome. So I think if they just remade it into kind of a campy kind of film. That being said, I don't know who would be able to kind of capture kind of the kind of charm that the film has with the disturbing kind of aspect of it, I guess. When I think of the best film I can think of is like The House of the Devil. Kind of do it like that with like Ty West, and just kind of, or Adam Wingard. Adam Wingard might be good. He, with Your Net, yeah, he might be good too. I just know that the story has so much more than a lot of people give it credit to. So I really think Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, should be remade. It's my number one 80s film that I believe should be remade. That being said, I don't think it should be called Season of the Witch. I think they should title it something else. And just with the ending, I think it'd be so interesting, because in the film, you know, you have the theme song that plays over and over again, and the theme song kind of triggers, without spoiling it, triggers something, the theme song. So I thought it'd be really entertaining if it was more like a social media kind of thing, because we have social media, we have iPhones and stuff. It'd be really interesting in seeing how that, like, turning into like an evil app. I don't know. But anyways, that's my choice for number one. Horror film from the 80s, I believe, should be remade. Alright guys, well that concludes my list for tonight. I appreciate you guys for watching. There's a lot of 80s films that I think are fantastic. Even though it's the end of 80s month, doesn't mean that you guys shouldn't watch 80s films. Y'all should watch it year round. Okay, 80s films are always fun. Always fun to watch, always fun to pick. A lot of them might be dated, but they're also charming at the same time. Alright guys, well that concludes our 80s month this January. We have covered everything. We have covered slasher, creature features, body horror, and then we also topped it off with our list of our favorite 80s films that we think you should watch. So, coming February, we have a whole new lineup for you guys. All you guys know that February 14th is going to be Valentine's Day. So, our February focus is going to be romantic horror. Yes, we are focusing this February on love. So, y'all get your kissing faces ready because we're going to be talking about all the lovey-dovey horror films we've seen. Just because it's horrific doesn't mean it doesn't pull the heartstrings. It's very true. So, y'all stay tuned in February because we have a whole bunch of love coming at you. Guys, thanks again for watching. I love you guys so much. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And comment below because I love to hear what you guys have to say about my choice. Although I know a lot of people are going to get mad at this Lost Boys choice that I made. But, hey, it's my opinion. So shoot me. I mean, no, don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. That was in bad taste. Don't shoot me. I don't want to be shot. Alright guys, so just don't forget. Remember, life's too short. Be nice to each other. Okay? Life is way too short to be mean. Don't be mean. Be nice. Anyways, guys, I will catch you later. I'm going to go lay back down and get rid of this cold because I feel icky. Anyways, guys, I love you guys. Be safe, be good, and we'll see you next week. Bye! I so love horror movies.